You ever feel like there are two different people arguing inside your head? You know, one that's super fast and impulsive, and another that's slow, careful, and, let's be honest, kind of lazy? Well, it turns out you're not wrong. Today, we're going to dive into the science of our two competing minds, the one that thinks fast and the one that thinks slow.
All right, to kick things off, I want to try a little brain teaser with you. This is a great way to actually feel these two voices in your head go to work. So get ready.
I'll give you a second. Seriously, don't think too hard. Just go with the very first number that pops into your head. You got it? Okay.
I'm going to bet that for a lot of you, the answer that just jumped out was 10 cents. Am I right? If so, you're in very good company. That's the answer that intuitively leaps out for almost everyone. It feels right, it's easy, but it's also wrong. The correct answer is actually 5 cents. Just think about it for a second. If the ball is 5 cents and the bat costs $1 more, then the bat is $1.05. Add them together, and you get $1.10. That little jolt you just felt, that's the clash between your instant gut reaction and your careful, deliberate logic. And that clash is exactly what we're talking about today. So that little mental battle you just went through, it's the perfect illustration of what's called the dual processing theory of the mind. Let's break it down and meet the two characters who were just fighting for control in your head, the autopilot and the pilot. First up, you've got System 1. Think of this as your brain's autopilot. It's always on, running in the background, it's incredibly fast, totally automatic, and it's what handles all your gut feelings and snap judgments. It's the part of you that screamed 10 cents without even thinking. And then you have System 2, the pilot. This is your conscious, rational mind. It's slow, it's deliberate, and it requires real effort to engage. This is the system that does the hard work of reasoning, solving problems, and, well, doing the math to figure out the ball had to be 5 cents. You have to consciously decide to turn the pilot on. So when you line them up, you see a pretty clear picture, right? The autopilot is all about fast, easy, intuitive thinking. The pilot is about slow, deliberate, analytical work. It seems simple enough, but this very idea is at the center of a huge, and I mean huge, scientific debate. So here's where things get really interesting. This whole two systems idea, made famous by Daniel Kahneman's book Thinking Fast and Slow, sounds great, but it's actually sparked a major feud between two different schools of psychology, the cognitive psychologists and the evolutionary psychologists.
Okay, so the evolutionary psychologists, they throw a wrench in the works. They argue that our mind isn't some general-purpose computer. Instead, they say it's more like a Swiss Army knife, a whole collection of specialized tools that evolved to solve very specific problems our ancestors faced, like finding food or picking a mate. A single do-it-all pilot, they say, would be totally useless because it would be paralyzed by an infinite number of choices, a problem they call a combinatorial explosion.
And the famous psychologist Steven Pinker really puts a fine point on it. He says that thinking a single general system could solve all of life's complex problems is basically like saying it works by magic. It's just not plausible from an evolutionary standpoint. But the cognitive psychologists have a powerful comeback. They say, sure, our brains evolved for a different world, but that's exactly the point. The modern world, with its stock markets and tax forms and abstract logic puzzles, is totally alien to our ancient programming. That massive mismatch between our old brain and our new world is what creates the conflict. In fact, we can test this conflict right now. Let's do another quick experiment. On the next slide, a word is going to appear. Your job is to say the color of the ink the word is printed in. That's it. Don't read the word, just say the color out loud, as fast as you can. Ready? So, did you hesitate for just a split second? Did your brain just scream blue? That feeling of fighting your own impulse is called the Stroop effect. Your autopilot, your System 1, automatically reads the word because reading is a deeply learned automatic skill. Your pilot, System 2, has to actively burn energy to slam on the brakes and say red. You just felt that internal conflict happen in real time. And the evidence doesn't stop there. We see this same kind of conflict with something called belief bias, which is our tendency to struggle with logic if it contradicts something we already believe. Brain scans even show different parts of the brain lighting up for abstract problems versus more social, content-rich ones. It really does seem to point to two different ways of thinking at work. So you'd think the battle lines are clear, right? Cognitive psychologists on one side, evolutionary psychologists on the other. But as with most things in science, the real story is a lot more complicated and, frankly, a lot messier.
The truth is, it's not one unified camp versus another. There are actually cognitive psychologists who are skeptical of this whole two-system model. And on the other side, more and more evolutionary psychologists are starting to come around to the idea that maybe some kind of general-purpose pilot really did evolve. And this table here really lays it all out. You can see that while, yeah, the majority in each field tends to lean one way, there are some really big names on the minority side in both camps. The debate isn't just happening between these fields, it's happening within them. The science is very much alive and still evolving. Okay, so where does that leave us? If the experts are all still arguing about the details, what's the big takeaway for you and me? And here's the crucial point. Who cares what we call them? Whether they're distinct systems or processes, or just two different modes of thinking, the core idea is an incredibly powerful tool. Understanding that we have a fast, automatic, intuitive way of thinking, and a slow, effortful, logical one helps us understand ourselves, our biases, and our mistakes. The labels are academic, but the idea is practical. And just to leave you with one more fascinating wrinkle in all this, there's a new idea emerging called the smart intuitor hypothesis. It asks a pretty profound question. Are smarter people just better at using their effortful pilot to catch mistakes? Or could it be that their automatic autopilot, their gut intuition, is just more accurate to begin with? Which brings us to one final question, and this one's for you. Right now, in this very moment, as you're taking all of this in, who's flying the plane? Is your autopilot just cruising along on gut feelings, or have you consciously engaged your pilot to really think this through? It's something to think about.